I've always liked the design of the original HyperX Cloud and HyperX Cloud 2. I pretty much recommend them to anyone who needs a new headset, so when I heard that the HyperX Cloud Flight was coming out, I thought it would be a great wireless version of this headset, but I was severely disappointed to see that they threw away all of the design philosophy for a very cheap and plastic looking thing. But I thought to myself, well, I think I can do better and make the original wireless. First things first, I needed to remove the driver, so that required unscrewing a few screws and desoldering 2 wires on each side. Once those were apart, I needed to remove the headbands themselves so I could work on them individually. So this requires removing 2 screws near the top of the headband. Now it's important to note here, this is why I'm showing this very slowly, is because there are 2 plastic clips on the inside that are really easy to lose once this comes apart. You'll see them in just a second. So I recommend carefully taking this apart. As you'll see on the labeling side, we have 2 discolored pieces of plastic that really help hold in the structure altogether. I'll give you a close-up here in just a second. There we are. You'll see the lighter ones are these 2 pieces that easily pull out, as you can see, and I've lost these many a time repairing a HyperX Cloud. So basically what I recommend doing is when you take these apart, put the screws back in together, this clamshell right here. So take the clamshell and put it back together and put those screws in so that you can't possibly lose those while you're working on the driver or anything inside the cup. So here's just the general mess after cleaning. You can see there's water everywhere. Had to clean these out because the original owner had really left them kind of smelling oily and disgusting. But I went ahead and cleaned them, and now they smell fresh like you just did your laundry. So with the head strap out, we need a 5 conductor for the battery on the other side, and the original wire just won't cut it. But luckily the wire that you would use to connect to your computer will. So I taped that around the other side, and we're going to use that as the new wire that drags across the headset and delivers both power and sound to the driver, since, like I said, it's a 5 conductor. So I would recommend making sure that the tape is done properly. As you'll see here, I pulled mine through and suddenly it gave out. And I was stuck trying to fish it through by hand the rest of the way, so I started fumbling around with it for quite some time, but I did get it out. Now, we're going to want to tuck it up at the top once we're finished with it so it doesn't really interfere with your head, because that would be really uncomfortable. If it keeps falling down, don't worry about it. It'll stop falling down once you have everything together, but this is the general premise. We want to tuck it over the top so that we won't feel it all the time. Now we want to put that 5 conductor through to the right ear cup here, and the original plastic is just a little too small, as you'll see. First of all, we got to remove this rubber spacer here for strain relief because that is much too small. But even the hole itself here is still too small. You'll see when I go to fish it through. Just give it a second here. When I go to fish it through, the shielding doesn't come with it, so we need to make that a little wider. Now with that finished, we also need to make that little clamshell a little wider. I didn't bother showing this, but I just drilled it while it was screwed together still, like I showed you originally, to make a wider hole for this wire. And if you listen, this is it working right now after I put all the wireless components in. I know I skipped a lot. So now it was a matter of cleaning that up. As you saw, it was just kind of a circuit board with a bunch of wires dangling everywhere. So I wanted to put in a proper button, a proper charging port, etc, etc. So I mixed up some epoxy and quickly epoxied in a charging port as well as a button. As you'll see here, it has a built-in LED. I'll see if I can get the parts and put them in the description for you. And that blinks when it's searching and blinks briefly when it's connected, and you hold it and it turns off or on. Now I also wanted to extend the range because the original range really wasn't that great, so I sacrificed a wireless antenna, 2.5 GHz rated antenna, and just soldered it onto the original leads of the dongle, and that increased it to pretty much the range I was looking for. And that was pretty much it, so now I'm just going to show you a little bit of the headset and maybe do a quick mic test. Alright, here we are doing a little bit of a test with the HyperX Cloud as the microphone right here. We got the default pop filter on, and as you can hear, it's not doing a very good job, but if I move it too far away from my face, this sort of compression-y sound sort of kicks in. You can't really get a good hearing of my voice, so I have to keep it kind of close, but when I keep it too close, then there's a lot of pop noise. So what can you do? Either way, we're going to see what it sounds like in just a little bit when you switch it over to a wireless system. So here's another test using the Corsair as the wireless headphone right now. It's the same microphone, the same original HyperX Cloud microphone, but as you can see, there's a lot of DSP correction going on. Clearly they've boosted the low end, and it still has that sort of like compressed tone, so you can't really hear me type as much. But they've done a lot of DSP correction. I'm gonna have to fix the pop filter, but we'll get back to that. And just as a throw-in comparison, we're just going to do the mod mic right here. There's the mod mic. It's the version 5, and this is what it sounds like. We've got it in omnidirectional mode because the other mode will obviously filter out a lot more sounds. This one sounds more natural. Either way, you can probably tell that this is probably the best sounding of the three of them. I don't really like to keep it in the comparison because it's $100, like I said. Either way, let's move on. So I hope you found that somewhat interesting. Maybe you're inspired to do it yourself. I thought it was quite a neat build. You may have noticed that there's a bit of footage missing, so like soldering and whatnot, and to be honest, it was because I was rushed, because this was a birthday gift for a friend of mine, so in the end I even lacked some of the footage of showing it off, so that's why it may look a little bit different, because I got him to film it in the end. So either way, I hope you found this somewhat interesting, and I'll see you next time.